What up, guys? It's your boy Melllow Man Ace. Welcome back to another episode of the Havana Lounge podcast. I'm happy as hell about tonight's episode. We got a loaded gun for you people. I am your man Melllow Man Ace, aka Meezy, aka Willie Mays, aka the Babyface Assassin. Shout out to my man R.I.P. Shag when he called me that one time. Listen, I'm excited about tonight because we have Frankie J in the house, and so right now I want you to crush the subscribe button, step on the like button, and let's keep it going like that, all right? So I just want to say shout out to my sponsors, AV Chevy of Antelope Valley, my man Justin down there. When you're looking for a fly Suburban, Corvette, or anything else, go see my man Justin, tell him I sent you, and see if he won't adjust that price for you, all right? And to my man Damon Lee over at Daily Ads, thank you so much. This next segment is sponsored by AV Chevy, and this is where I like to talk about my cigar. Today, I brought this cigar out. I bought it. It's a little $10 chucker called JM Dominican out of Connecticut. Now, it's a dope little cigar. It usually comes with a pre-cut tip in there, but I don't like it like that because you don't get the full flavor of the cigar. So I clipped it a little bit, how I like it, and then I have the full body of the cigar come through. And I gotta tell you, it handled itself like any other cigar that's a little bit more pricey, $24, $35 cigar, maybe even as well as a Oliva or a Rocky Patel. And, you know, when you're going out on the golf course, sometimes just a little $10 chucker is all you need to get you through the game, to get you through the course. And the aroma was splendid. I have nothing bad to say about the cigar. I would buy another one. And I'm definitely, actually I got two of these so that I could take one out tomorrow when I hang out with the boys on the golf course. So shout out to them, JM's Dominican Cigars out of Connecticut. If you're looking for a little $10 chucker, this is your guy. Tonight, I had been drinking this Moscato before we went on air. And it's a Moscato by my man, Big Kaz. Shout out to the Rolling 60 Crips out there. My man, Big Kaz, started his own brand of Moscato out of Arizona. And this is a really good Moscato. It's a 2013 blend. And I really like what he did with it. That's my man right there. Shout out to him and the people who put this together. It's a great wine. Trust me when I tell you, I'm having some now. True indeed. Moving right along, people. It's been an exciting week. There's a lot going on, but before we move on, I just want to say R.I.P. to one of my old school dudes, Eli the Skeeter, Repeater Cheater. We used to call him that because every time we was in the rap cipher, he would repeat the same rhyme over and over and over and over again. And even though we lost communication over the last 10, 15 years, you know, he was my twin at one time. So shout out to him and his family. Prayers and all that go out to them. True indeed. All right, so now let's talk about the man of the hour. Make the ladies scream and holler, all that. My man, good friend, great entertainer, the one and only Frankie J is here. Say hello, my man.
What up, Melllow?
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having me, man.
Oh, man, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for the invite.
Nah, absolutely, man. That was a no-brainer for me. I just needed to make sure you were good. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, man.
So-
You know, been busy, but you know, thankfully, these coming days I'll be off for about a week and a half. We've been out on the road consistently, thank God, and you know, just wanted to come out here and say what's up, and you know, just come out here and chill with you for a little
Absolutely. We do appreciate that, brother. So Frankie, let's get right into it, bro.
bit. Yeah.
Let's get right into it, because I remember when we first started hanging out quite a bit, I said I thought you were a Texas guy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Originally, where do you represent from? Where do you hail from?
Well, see, I was born in Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico.
Yeah.
Raised in San Diego, California.
Okay.
And a lot of people, you know, think that from Texas, because I lived in Texas for almost 11 years. I was part of a boy band called the Kumbia Kings back in the days.
Absolutely.
From 99 to 2003, and I lived in Corpus Christi for about 4 years.
Is that right?
And then from 2003 to 2003 to 2000, let's say 9, lived in Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
So you know, a lot of folks thought I was originally, you know, from Texas, but I'm from California. Born in Mexico, raised in California.
Born in Tijuana.
Born in Tijuana, I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
And raised in
That's
Cali,
dope.
San
That's
Diego.
dope, man. Some really good golf courses out there in Tijuana. I had the pleasure of playing for my birthday out there. It's a beautiful layout over
Oh,
there.
wow.
What they're doing. Tell me this,
never
Frankie,
golfed.
man.
Never golfed.
We're gonna get you on a golf course one of these days.
I hope so, bro, because I definitely need to experience the golfing.
Yeah, and that's all I'm about. You know, a lot of people every time they see me, like, man, how's your golf game, and you know, what's your handicap and all this other stuff. But tell me this, brother. Tell me this. When did you realize you had the talent, or you saw the dream? You had the dream where you wanted to be an entertainer, or follow and pursue that. What year did you realize the dream?
Oh man, I don't remember exactly the age, but I know I was a kid, man. I was a young kid. I want to say maybe 5th grader, 4th grader, I was always into writing poems.
Okay.
Always writing poems. Of course, I loved music since I can remember. But the writing started, I want to say at the age of maybe like 8, 9, just, you know, rhyming words and putting words together.
Sure.
and stuff like that.
In singing format or rap format?
No, not even, neither. I want to say it was
Poem
more
style.
like just a
Okay.
poem style, yeah. Because I remember doing a lot of that in school. Like our teacher would put us to just rhyme words and do something creative,
Sure.
in a form of a poem.
Yeah.
And I love doing that. I remember, you know, just doing all kinds of different words and putting them together, thinking of what rhymes with what. And I was very intrigued by that style of writing. And I want to say it was an Edgar Allan Poe book that we were studying at the age of 7, 8 years old.
Sure.
And I was so intrigued by that. But as far as the, like, knowing when I kind of knew that I would do something with music was when I started putting words into
8 years old
with melodies.
8 years old.
Yeah, and I
That's
remember
amazing.
I remember learning that. You know.
You know any Shakespeare?
I don't really know the Shakespeare, but of course the
What
to be
light
or not to
through
be,
yonder
you know?
window breaks?
There you go.
It is the east, and Juliet is the sun.
Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet, come on, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely, baby. You know I got
man.
it. Yeah. That's dope, man. So at 8 years old, you're writing.
Yeah.
And now on TV, you're watching who? Who's like some of the people that you're watching that inspire?
Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson. At that age, I was like just glued to the TV because Michael Jackson was the artist
guy. Absolutely.
that was always on television with the Pepsi commercials, with you know, with the Grammys and you know, just seeing everywhere everything that he was doing. I remember just watching the TV. I want to say it was 1980. Was it 84 when he did the famous moonwalk part in the Grammys?
Yeah.
And I remember like just seeing that happen before my eyes. I was literally glued to the television watching this because my brother and I, my older sister, I'm the middle child. We would always do the breakdance and the pop locking and stuff like that. So you remember putting all the, the cardboard boxes and flattening them out, and then boom, doing the flares and doing the backflips.
Absolutely,
and pop
my guy.
So Michael was a big part of that movement, along with like the Breakin' movie and Electric Boogaloo and all that stuff that was going on during those days.
So 1984-ish.
84-ish.
That was before. Was that before or after he got burnt at the Pepsi commercial?
I want to say it was before.
Yeah.
I want to say it was before because he had done. Oh no! That was after. That was after.
After the Pepsi commercial.
Yeah, because he had done the Pepsi commercial, and that's when it happened.
He got on fire.
His hair was caught on fire because of the pyro and all that stuff that they had in the production. But I remember those days like it was yesterday, man.
Sure.
And that's probably my first, like, real.
Like you said, I want to be like that guy.
Right. That was the very first thing that I remember. Like, ooh, I want to be like Michael. Like seeing that on TV, it was a heavy influence on me as a kid. But it was just a dream. At that moment, it was just like, wow, imagine.
You're stuck in TJ. You're like, what are the chances?
In Tijuana. No, you know what? I didn't live in Tijuana for long.
Okay.
I was probably about maybe 2.5 years when
I
crossed the border into
San Diego.
You want to know how I crossed the border?
Yeah.
Halloween night. I kid you not. This is a true story, real story. It was a Halloween night. My older brother, my older sister, and I have an uncle of mine that was basically like a brother to me because we're all kind of in the same age bracket. Yeah. And we were kids, man. And my uncle was gonna cross from Tijuana to San Diego.
Sure.
Halloween night, and he said, "Do you guys want to go trick or treating in San Diego?" And at that age, we're like, "Of course!" Like, candies. Right. We're thinking candies.
Yeah.
So he's driving a 1977 Chevy Impala, and my uncle, man, was he used to be the dressed up like a cholo, like the whole nine, bro. He's a veterano, and he had the steering wheel was the chain
link fence,
yeah. So he's crossing us, bro. Picture this. I kid you not. We could probably make a movie out of this scene. Or do something with it. We're in the back seat in this Impala. Yeah. The Impala seats were pretty wide, right?
Yeah.
And we're sitting in the back seat. We're dressed up in our costumes. Don't ask me what I was dressed like. I don't even know what I was wearing. I think there's a
Michael
picture
Jackson,
somewhere.
Probably the Mexican Michael Jackson.
There's a picture somewhere in our family albums. Sure. And I remember going through this, the line or whatever.
Yeah.
And this is my uncle telling us the story because I was so little to remember this as a kid, but I remember him telling us, and he's saying, "Hey, so the officer or the person that is there watching us go through this line, he was like, you bringing anything home from Mexico?" And he goes, "Not at all, sir. Just my niece and my nephews. We're just gonna go trick or treating, and then I'm bringing them right back." Big lie. So he crosses us over. We stay in San Diego, and that's it. We don't go back. My mom and my dad are in Tijuana, waiting for us to get back home.
Right.
So my uncle calls, my dad at home, and he goes, "Hey, carnal, ya los crucé." He goes, ahora te tienes que venir tú.
Te tienes que aventar.
Te tienes que aventar. But my dad already had a work visa.
Okay.
So he would cross back and forth to work.
Well, this was a time where it was a little bit more lax at the border. None of this kind of stuff that we're having and experiencing today.
No.
Back in the day, you could go in and go out. It was practically like going to the liquor store, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was easier.
Absolutely. Give me a second. We're going to go to commercial. We'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm your boy, Melllow Man Ace. That is Frankie J. This is the Havana Lounge Podcast. We'll be back in two, people. Hold tight. And welcome back, everybody. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're feeling well. I got my man Frankie J in the spot still. I am your man, Melllow Man. Let's get back into it. Frankie, when did you realize, like, after the incident at the border, that your uncle actually snuck you over to the United States?
He smuggled us in.
He smuggled you, basically. And how long did it take for your mom and dad to come back?
I want to say like within a couple of days, because they were so stunned by the whole, by everything that had happened. And my uncle was just one of those that just honestly didn't care. He was like, man, you know what? Let's just do it. Yeah. He was already an American citizen. So he was already working here. He had an apartment out here. And so he just felt comfortable with doing that. And, he did. And
that's amazing. Or we would have never heard your music.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It would have been a whole different scenario for us. So, but yeah, after that, my whole entire, family came in, and luckily they were able to get their papers. We were able to get our papers.
Sure.
And one of my uncle offered us, to stay at his apartment complex where he lived at. And I remember just being in a 2-bedroom apartment, and it was like 9 or 10 of us.
Yeah.
And
that's how we used to do back in the day, man. It was all for one and one for all.
Yeah,
absolutely. Tell me this: where'd you go to high school and all that kind of stuff?
In elementary, I went to a school called Nestor Elementary, which is not too far from where we used to live, in the apartment complex on Coronado Avenue there in San Diego, the south side of San Diego. And then for junior high, I went to a Southwest Junior High School, not too far from there as well. And then everything was pretty close. And then Southwest High School was where I graduated from.
Southwest in San Diego.
Southwest in San Diego.
SD, what up?
Yeah, man. And a lot of great times in San Diego, in the city of the Chula Vista, San Isidro area, and Pearl Beach.
Yeah.
I grew up in those areas.
Sure.
So yeah, it was fun.
That's what's up. So now, moving forward a little bit, you're coming out of high school. How old are you before you get your first record deal?
I was actually in high school when I got my first record deal. First, like, independent record deal. I was 15. I was 15 years old.
So that's like 10th grade. 9th grade?
Yeah, 9th grade.
Yeah.
9th grade. I remember, being 15 years old, obviously under the age of before you could even sign any papers. You have to have your parents.
Now, was this with the Kumbia Kings?
No, this was actually with a Canadian record label out of all labels. It was a Canadian record label named Ventura Records, which back then they were doing. They were very, very famous for freestyle music.
Okay.
On the Latin hip hop side.
Sure.
And I was very much into the freestyle era. George Lamond's, the TKAs of the world, the Cover Girls, the Sweet Sensations, Johnny O's, like all that era.
Yeah.
And I was very heavily influenced by that style of music. And I remember, signing with this Canadian label through a friend of mine.
Did your mom do your deal?
No.
Which one of your parents? Did you get a lawyer? How'd you do it?
No. So this is what happened. So it was all done kind of like whatever. Like, it was. To me, it felt like this is a great thing. This is a chance of a lifetime type of thing. I'm never going to have this ever again. And so my mom and my dad were just present when I put my signature down. My mom and my dad never signed anything. So in the very beginning of that contract, nothing was ever a legit thing because I was underage.
Sure.
Only thing that I did have to back that up was the fact that my mom and my dad were present. But they never signed anything. But, I still went on and recorded and wrote some of my original songs back then. A buddy of mine named James Galvez was producing everything.
Now, can we find that on the internet?
Oh yeah, you could. I was known as Frankie Boy, and it's funny because I just recently did an interview about 2 weeks ago with my friend Gerardo, which you know him well.
Yeah.
We did this interview with a radio station out there in Canada through Zoom.
Okay.
And the interviewer from the station already knew my music from way back when, and it was very well known in Canada. And I had no real like idea of how strong it was in Canada, but apparently a lot of people know about it.
It was a number one hit in Canada.
Well, I don't know if it was a number one hit, but it was definitely hitting some radio stations out there, and people were definitely noticing the music.
Guys, you're chilling with my man Frankie J in the spot tonight. We're listening to the great stories being told here tonight. So now, okay, you had that in high school.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm sure the girls was flocking, right?
No, not at all, man. I was a nerd.
Man,
in high school.
I'm all wrong here, people.
I was a nerd in high school. I never had a girl. I never had a girlfriend ever in high school.
Yeah.
My first girlfriend was after
That's
I was
funny.
in college.
I'm very similar in that regard.
Right. I was very timid as a kid. I was very shy. Although I did love music and I was always into the music, I was always hitting the books. I was a good kid in school. I always got my A's and B's and and my every now and then some C's. And I was always into school. The other thing that took a lot of my time was music. I was so heavily influenced by music that I couldn't see myself going anywhere else.
The gangs didn't intrigue you, none of that.
Even though I did grow up in that whole area.
We all did.
I think many of us did.
A lot of us, yeah.
I don't know. I just for me, the whole thing with having a girlfriend or anything like that just did not. I mean, I had crushes on girls, that were like real pretty in high school, real beautiful girls and stuff. But I never had the nerve to ask them out or nothing. I never went to no. The prom. I never went to no like sweetheart spins. Never had none of that stuff. None of that. I was
over here like, oh.
It was after the fact.
Yeah.
But actually, even when it came down to performing for the first time ever in front of a crowd,
which was where?
It was in front of my peers. I was about 16 years old, and I think what gave me the push to do that was when I got signed. At the age of 15 to this Canadian label, because I felt like, okay, I can do this, even though I was super scared. But I remember Mr. Chavez, the ASB advisor at the time, during my years of high school, he would always come up to me and be like, hey, Francisco, because that's what they would call me. Frankie or Francisco. Hey, Francisco, do you want to go up on stage and do something for the lunch, hour or half an hour? I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. They're like, come on, man, just we got the PA system already ready to go. All you got to do is entertain the people. I was like, I guess. And so, one day, man, he just surprised me. He goes, remember that time I asked you to perform? I was like, yeah. He goes, well, there's your PA system. I was like, all right, I guess. And one of my buddies was already there. He was an alumni from that school. He was part of the music team. Years before, so he already had everything set up, and he had songs of mine that I had written with him ready to go. So they just give me the mic, and I'm like going on stage. I'm like, all right, I guess, and then here I am performing in front of my peers, and lo and behold, bro, like I didn't realize how much of an impact it would make on my friends. That when I saw that happen, I was like, okay, I think I can do this. That's when it was really heavily dawning on me that I could do something with music.
Sure. Dope ass story. Tell me this. So when did you parlay that into the Kumbia King thing?
Oh man, that's
how many years
story.
go by?
How can I shorten that story?
Yeah, like short version maybe. Yeah.
I want to say after high school, I only did 1 year of community college. I didn't even go to the university college. I did community college, which was like 13th grade, right?
What you laughing at, Mark? What's so funny over there?
Oh man, crazy, dude.
You can talk. What's up, Mark? Why are you laughing? You good? Okay.
Is he all right?
Yeah, he's okay.
So go ahead. 1 year community college.
So it was 1 year community college, and I honestly for me it was like 13th grade, as they say, right? It wasn't.
Oh, 19.
It was not like it was my senior year, and then boom, going into like 13th grade in community college. But I saw a lot of my friends there. I saw a lot of people that I knew that I felt comfortable. But it wasn't for me. I only did 1 year, and then I had a few friends of mine from my brother's side that were into the whole DJing thing, into the music and stuff like that. And so I had known a few friends from my brother's side that wanted to bring me out to Texas.
Yeah.
To go experience the artist thing out there and perform, at some clubs and get to know the whole, Texas vibe. And I was a little bit afraid. I was skeptical of it, but I was like, you know what? This is an opportunity. Why not take it? Why not see what can happen? I was always into music, so I said, why not? So one of my brother's friends named Arturo Quiñones, which also goes by Turi Q, DJ Turi Q, flies me to Austin, Texas, where he's, currently, having, family at and friends and whatever. And he goes, hey man, I wanna bring you out here so you can kind of catch a vibe on the Texas vibe and see how we do, and you can perform at some clubs. And so I finally decide to do it. We fly in, and man, my first gig I remember was at a club called what was it called, Yo-Yo's.
Yeah.
And I'm like 19 years old, tripping out on the whole club scene. I've never been in a club like an actual music club where performers go and hang out and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a teen club, and here I am, watching all this, and he's like, "You want to perform some of your freestyle music?" And I was like, "Sure." So I go in there, do my thing, at night, and hang out with everybody. And I kind of started planting seeds, there, like, of relationships, people that were part of music, people that were part of the industry.
Yeah.
And then I probably stayed in Austin for about almost, I think it was like 9 months, man, close to a year, and trying to do the whole thing with the music, and it wasn't really panning out like the way that I wanted it to. And so I decided to come back home. When I came back home, I started working at this Hotel Del Coronado, which is in San Diego.
I've been there. I've stayed there.
Very popular hotel, historical hotel where a lot of celebrities go and they stay there. And I was working as an audio-visual technician. So I was setting up speakers. I was setting up microphones. I was setting up PA systems. The whole nine for like Johnson & Johnson conventions.
Yeah.
For a bunch of
oddball
corporations
and things like that.
And so within my 3 months of being there, I received a call from my buddy that I was staying at his house in Austin. His name is John Paul Ramirez. John Paul Ramirez, this is a long story, but I'm trying to keep this one short. John calls me and he says, Frankie, he goes, I know you're trying to do the whole artist thing and you want to do the solo thing. He goes, but I received a call from, someone that you know well that is trying to link you up with A.B. Quintanillo's Kumbia Kings. And I was like, well, I know the group. I go, but what is it that they're trying to, what do they want? He's like, well, they're looking for a singer, someone who can sing both English and Spanish, that can do R&B music, but can also get down with some cumbia.
Now this is after our great beloved Selena has passed away.
This is after Selena, yes.
Absolutely.
This is already 99. This is 1999. Selena passed in 95, March of 95.
Yeah.
4 years already have passed, and A.B. creates this group called Los Kumbia Kings. So there's another opportunity there, for me. So I decided to take the call, and I finally, talked to A.B. We talk on the phone. Everything kind of, happens quickly, and he's like, "When do you want to come into Corpus?" And I'm like, "I have a job. I'm working." I go, "I gotta give my 2 weeks notice." And he's like, "All right, listen, I'll let you do that. This is how much I'm gonna pay you, and let me know when once you put your 2 weeks notice so that I can make arrangements to fly you in."
Yeah.
I was like, "All right, perfect." So I go to my job and I tell my boss at the time, his name was Scott, I still remember his name, and such an amazing guy, man. And I told Scott, I said, hey Scott, I have this crazy opportunity to be a lead singer for a group called the Kumbia Kings, and it's a shot, I need to take this shot. And he goes, and what are you still doing here? He goes, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Oh. So I looked at him, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, for real? He goes, yeah, you don't need to give me no 2 weeks notice. Get the hell out of here. Go follow your dream. And
That's
I was
dope.
like,
shout out to that guy.
Scott.
Adrian?
Yeah. No,
What was
Scott.
his name? Scott.
His name was Scott, and he was so, just so awesome with me. Like, he didn't give me no hard time.
Yeah.
Like, hey, man, like, you have a job here. Like, we're paying you well. At the time, I think they were paying me like $10 an hour.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was not a bad job.
You could have stayed there, yeah.
$10 an hour. And he just goes, what the hell are you doing here? Get out of here.
That's
Follow
dope.
your dreams.
Shout out to Scott.
Yeah.
Shout out
the
to
Hotel
Scott.
Del Coronado. And that was it.
That's a dope ass story there, the way you brought that around. So at the Hotel Coronado, I used to do a lot of vacationing there in the 90s when my kids were small.
Yeah.
So I know I probably walked past you and not knowing
Maybe.
you at that time. So that's crazy.
Maybe. Wow.
Guys, you are locked into the Havana Lounge podcast. This is the one and only, my boy, Frankie J is in the house, in the place to be with the ACE. We're going to go right back to a commercial, but we'll be right back in 2 and 2, and we have some more with the man on the hot seat. All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. My man Frankie J is in the hot seat tonight. Havana Lounge podcast is on fire. Frankie, tell me this: how does it happen now? You go from Kumbia Kings, you move to Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
First of all, how does that go for you?
The experience with Kumbia Kings was something that I will never forget because it was probably one of the greatest opportunities that I have ever taken in my whole entire musical career.
Part of the game is just saying yes.
Yes, that's really what it was. And, I learned a lot about the business. I learned a lot about the songwriting, the production, the performances. Got the experience of performing in front of thousands of people, man. Because you know how Mexico does it. It's not 10,000 people. It's not 20,000 people. It's 100,000 people that you're performing for. And it's incredible. I mean, you're doing these stadiums, you're doing arenas, you're doing places that have no kind of limit because it
out in the open. It definitely changes you a little bit.
It's out in the open, man.
Yeah.
And it's a whole different experience. So that to me was, an incredible experience. And there's hills and valleys, that you have to go through in the business, and there's bumps on the road, there's high moments, there's lows. All of the experience that I got from being there, I really took it to heart, and I tried to I guess mold myself with the business side, to learn about like everything that really goes down within a successful group. And but within a successful group, there's always the breakups, right?
Sure, yeah.
I think every group that I've ever learned of or heard of has always had
absolutely
one of those.
A little bit of friction in there, some tense moments.
Oh, absolutely.
Some egos that might be,
ego, power, money, everything that goes, with having success. Yeah, and the territory of that. And I went through some of those moments, not just me, but a few of the other guys. And at the end of it all, I was fired. I got fired. I was let go because I got late to one of the shows in San Antonio.
Yeah.
And I was, in between shows, in between, being on the road, I would get the opportunity to go back home, to go back to San Diego. So I would drive from Corpus Christi all the way to San Diego because, when we weren't working, I wanted to go see my mom and my dad, and I wanted to go and hang out with my family and, also some friends that I missed.
Some you time, some Frankie time.
Yeah.
Little Frankie time.
And so, my wife and I would just take that road trip. And I remember, I used to have a Mitsubishi Galant, silver Mitsubishi Galant. Man, I put miles on that car. And I put all kinds of different, things in that car because I would put keyboards, I would put, clothes, I would put, shoes and all that stuff whenever I'd make that trip back and forth. And I remember one of those trips, I remember, talking to Cruz. It was Cruz Martinez because Cruz would always be the communicator that would communicate with all the members. And he would call me and be like, hey, Cisco. That was another thing. They called me Cisco.
Yeah.
So he goes, hey, Cisco, we have a show in San Antonio, and you need to be here by so-and-so date. So I was like, all right, cool, I'll make it. And I remember just driving back from San Diego. Unfortunately, I got traffic, and I made it to the show, but I was 2 songs late. So by the time I got dressed up, ready to go on stage, they were already 2 songs in.
Now, were you on those first 2 songs?
Yes, I was on those first 2 songs.
Frankie J was MIA.
And so, then when I get to the show and I jump on stage.
Now you're lead vocals.
Yeah. I'm lead
kind
vocals,
important.
man. Yeah,
kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal. And I get to the show, get on stage. AB decides to make me an example. So, I'm literally standing in front of a sold out crowd, sold out show. And he throws me under the bus because, I get there late. And I remember the crowd just booing, like, boo, like, like they were just upset, like, because I got there late. And
maybe you should have waited.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have waited and talked to you backstage. And,
yeah, exactly.
Not that kind of way.
Exactly. But, I took it like a champ.
Yeah.
And soon after that, man, the crowd forgot about it. And we were in there rocking the show, singing the songs, and having fun.
Now, after the show, did you go heads up with, what's up, motherfucker?
Yeah.
What you doing? You trying to get slick out here? You trying to really...
No,
what happened?
The truth, good? The truth was, after the show, he came to me, and he was upset. He was really mad. But this wasn't the first time that he had gotten upset at me. It was This was probably the second or third time. And I want to say one of those other times it was because I went in front of him
on the vocal
on a show where you know it was like almost like a disrespect almost to him, like saying like, wait a minute.
Now, did he have the mic at the time? Was he on mic? Because usually, you know how
be in and out.
How we rehearse, right? We rehearse and we never cross whoever's on the mic at the time. We always go behind, right?
Yeah. No, he wasn't. He didn't have. He would be in and out of the mic, but no, it was where the lead singers were singing the songs. So you know, you wouldn't. It wasn't like anything intentional. It was more like going to a certain side of the stage to shake hands, to hold hands, to say hello to the crowd.
Sure.
And it wasn't by any means trying to
upstage him. Yeah,
that's what he would call it, upstage, or you know, take the shine away from somebody else. When you're in a moment of showmanship, your mind is focused on that. You're not focused on let me go ahead and be the bigger man.
Yeah,
show off.
Let me upstage this guy.
To me, it was more about the excitement and the adrenaline rush that would come, you know, with shows. You know, such as those that we were doing. Yeah. And he got upset at me. That was probably one of the other times. So I think it had already kind of...
This thing was building.
Like he was like, okay, this is it.
This was building. It escalated. It got to this point. And, and then it exploded. And so, shouting match, maybe? A shouting match?
Was it a shouting match? Yo soy uno de esos tipos que no me dejo. You know, I could be the nicest, right? I could be the nicest kid. I could be the most humble, you know, kid. But when it comes to protecting myself, I'm gonna protect myself, you know, and defend myself. And I want to say there must have been some words back and forth.
Sure.
I did do that one time in the bus because he did try, you know, making me an example when I did jump in front of him. And I remember just telling him, I said, I'll never do that again. Then. I just remember getting upset because it wasn't to the degree that he was trying to make it a point of, you know.
He was putting chile on the tacos.
Pretty much. Poniéndole la más crema a los tacos.
Yeah, there you go.
And I want to say that even, you know, when that happened, even the guys, like the other guys that were there, they were like, yo, like you were in the right. Like it wasn't that you were trying to outstage him. You were right, like by you defending yourself. Yeah. And you know, because everybody was like family. Like even though sometimes we would get mad at each other or you know have disagreements, we always had that brotherly love. Like nobody ever like hated on somebody or anything like that. It was more like let's just continue. We would always say like the Kumbia Kings can't be stopped. The only ones that can stop us is us. That's what we would. That was our motto.
That's dope.
And whenever we would go out on stage, we would always huddle with each other and say, "Shine! It's time to shine! It's time to shine! It's time to shine!" And that's how we were connected before going on stage. We would always say, "Let's put our super suits on," because once you get on stage, you would turn into a superhero. Because you know the fans, people are.
You got 100,000 in the stadium.
Absolutely,
I get it.
You're turning into your artist, you know.
You're becoming inspiration.
Correct.
All of a sudden,
and that was the bond that we had, and that was how it all went down. But that day in San Antonio was when I got fired.
Okay, now tell me this: you get fired, and you go F this, man. Like, yo,
that was the last straw.
Yeah, and you go, I'm going solo. I'm going solo.
I'm going solo. Yeah.
And
I decided to.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that was the moment where I said, you know what, this is too much, because none of us had egos. Well, when it came down to the guys, like when it came down to the when it came down to DJ, Drew, myself, everybody, it was always more like I felt like it was more of a power trip. Yeah. The boss. I've always said to myself, being a boss. People fear you as a boss. If you recognize yourself as a boss, it's because people fear you. But if you say that you're a leader, people want to follow a leader. Yeah. So whenever I would hear the boss term, it always kind of made me feel like, well, it's just different.
It takes the fun out of everything.
It does.
Well, it really does.
And I really seriously believe that if you call yourself a leader, people will follow you. You know, people will want to follow you.
There are good leaders and there are bad leaders.
Correct. And so at that moment, I said, you know what, I have to do something different, because there was no turning back when I was let go, when I was fired.
Yeah.
So when I decided to finally say, okay, if I'm going to be fired, if I am fired, because I heard those words come from his mouth, I said, well, I have to do something.
Now, how long were you on the road before this happened?
I was already with them for about 4 years.
So you had a great run.
Oh, yeah.
You had a good run.
Absolutely.
But it could have kept on going.
It could have kept going,
Yeah.
but I feel like if it would have kept going, I would have never been able to do what I'm doing today. Mind you, while I was in the group, I was already writing songs. Not, I didn't know if they were going to be for me or for somebody else, or if I was going to, be able to put them on a Kumbia King album, which later on, a couple of those songs that I wrote became part of the last Kumbia King album that I was a part of. But I was writing, I was recording, and I was doing things that I loved while I was there. So when that happened, I said, you know what? I'm going to use these songs.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something with these records. And I went ahead and packed all my things, took all my stuff out of the apartment, closed the lease on the apartment, and decided to get a U-Haul truck and drive back to San Diego. And on my way to San Diego, the guy that actually connected me to the Kumbia Kings, I communicated with him. His name was Charles Chavez, who was at the time working for Interscope Records.
I remember Charles.
And he was working radio. He was working all the radio, the radio side for a lot of those records back in those days. And when I called him and I told him what happened, he started laughing. Because he was like, what do you mean you got fired? I got fired too. And I go, what? You got fired? He goes, yeah, I just got fired, from Interscope Records. Jimmy fired me. Jimmy Havana fired me.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way. He goes, dude, so what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't know, but I need a manager. Do you want to be my manager? And he was like, yeah, sure, I guess. We'll learn together. So I ended up taking a trip to his house, to Houston, because he lived in Houston and I was in Corpus.
Yeah.
And went to his house on a U-Haul truck with all my stuff.
Yeah.
And I parked outside his house, and I said, listen to these songs. And I told him, these are the songs that I want to use for my solo stuff, but I think that this record is going to be my first single. To this day, he says that I never picked that song, but I know damn well that I picked that song because that was always my favorite. It was a song called Don't Want to Try.
Yeah.
It was a ballad that I wrote and produced along with a friend of mine named James Galvez. And when he heard that song, he was like, this is it. And the rest is history. After that, it started getting...
Who did you sign with?
I signed with Columbia. It was a battle. It was a battle between Interscope and Columbia. Capitol wanted to sign me. J Records wanted to sign me.
Yeah.
Columbia wanted to sign me. Interscope wanted to sign me. Casablanca with Tommy Mottola wanted to sign me. So I had all these different people. Yeah,
almost like a bidding war type of thing.
It was almost like it turned into a bidding war when finally I decided the last two, which would be Sony and Interscope. Mm-hmm. And at the time, Donnie Einer was the president of Sony Columbia, and then Jimmy Havana over at Interscope Records, and Fonovisa. That was the Latin side of Interscope.
Sure.
So, I was trying to balance out the history between both legendary, iconic labels.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've met Donnie through the Cypress Hill thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Donnie's,
good guy.
He's amazing, and he gave me my chance, my very first big chance, big opportunity to sign with Columbia and Sony. So, I did the research on both. Obviously, Interscope had, No Doubt, Black Eyed Peas, Enrique Iglesias. And then 50 Cent, Eminem, Dr. Dre, right? NWA, all that.
Yeah.
There was Sony, Ricky Martin, Mark Anthony, Shakira, Gloria Estefan.
This is your lane.
Correct. So I started kind of putting both into perspective, and I was like, okay, which one fits me better? And I thought of Sony. not to not take away nothing from Interscope.
No, but you have to make
they were
a
legendary,
decision.
right? And I had to make a
Absolutely.
decision. When I finally made the decision, Sony was making the bigger bid. So I was like, okay, I guess this one's it.
They want you.
This one's it.
Yeah.
And I decided to go with Sony. And here I am now. You know, after that, it was a crazy experience. My first time ever, you know, being a part of like a major label with my own art.
Absolutely.
And I was just very excited about the whole opportunity. The song was taken off. It went top 10 on the pop charts. And then it was a top 15 or top 20 on the rhythmic charts.
Good deal.
And it was the kickoff, for my, you know, solo career. My first, you know, and I remember when I left the group, everybody was telling me, "Don't do R&B music. You're Mexican. It's a black world with R&B. You're never gonna make it." So here I am, performing with Genuine, Drew Hill, Jodeci, Keith Sweat. I mean, you name it, like H-Town, and I'm this little Mexican, Brian McKnight, Mexican kid.
But see, that's one thing you're failing to see. To us, you are the Mexican Usher.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've been in that conversation with other rappers of Latino descent, and we've said, like Frank is the Mexican Usher, and so it made perfect sense to us.
You know,
and if you know music, you know that your music fits well in that lane.
Right. And see, I always felt like I could fit in that world, in that realm, because I believed in myself. I wanted to do something different that was not currently the situation, you know, for many years in our Latino community.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of pop iconic Latinos, but in the R&B world, it's unheard of.
Yeah.
Because it's such a it's a genre that is very dominant.
Yeah. No, there's the guy from
by the black
Color Me Bad and you.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It was rare.
Yeah.
And so when I decided to do the whole R&B thing, they laughed at me. They're like, "Dude, you just stick to the Latin. Like, just do Spanish." And I'm like, "Nah."
Yeah.
I feel something in my heart that I know I can do, and I can, you know, do some big things with it. And I always, you know, there's always that in the back of your mind, like, what if, you know? And then, but what if they're right?
Right.
But you know what? I gotta keep going. I gotta keep striving. I gotta keep believing.
Facts.
And that's what allowed me to continue with my solo career, because I'm this Mexican kid, you know, quote unquote, doing black music.
Yeah, and that's dope as fuck.
And that's crazy.
Frankie, look, man, we salute that, bro. We salute that, bro. Like, you stood on your own truth. No, for real.
Appreciate
you stood on your own square.
Appreciate
you
it,
stood
man.
on your
Coming
own
from you,
principle.
man, it means a lot. You're iconic.
I think anybody can verbalize that to you. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a guy like me. But I mean, we continue to uplift you, brother, and I'm so glad you could make it, guys.
Appreciate it, man.
Stay tuned. Keep it locked. We're gonna come right back. We're gonna take one more break, and then we're coming right back. Frankie J, you're tuned into the Havana Lounge podcast. 2 and 2. back. Welcome back to the Havana Lounge podcast. I am your man, Melllow Man Ace. The one and only Frankie J is in the place to be. Frankie, we were talking off air about how sometimes things are a little different. You don't get to really verbalize and say the kind of the things you do that you want to talk about.
You don't want to hurt feelings.
Or sometimes you'll get to the radio station and the on-air personality is trying to be over the top funny, and he's not asking you the dope questions that you really came to talk about. And I've been personally through that, so I understand. Yeah. But that's why I love what we're doing here tonight, because we've been able to pick and probe into you without even really, picking and probing. You putting it out there. You want to tell these things. And we definitely appreciate that about you, my brother. So tell me this. What now? Now you're on Sony. You're doing your thing. What was that moment that said to Frankie J, like, yo, I really landed on my own here?
Oh, man. I think when I started seeing the success of the first single, Don't Wanna Try, where, it was the very first city. And I'm going to say this right here. The very first city, it's been said in many interviews, the very, very first city that ever played my very first single on the radio waves was Corpus Christi, Texas. Z95. And it was a CD,
that's
an MP3.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Not mixed, not mastered. It was straight out of the PC computer, downloaded onto a CD player.
But you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Corpus Christi is the home base of the Kumbia Kings.
Yes.
So now they're bumping your solo stuff.
Yes.
Go ahead, take it from there.
So what when they started playing the song, this was close to it was my birthday. It was December 7th, and it was the Love Hour. Edo Cañas was the program director. Shout out to Edo Cañas. He was the program director at the time for Hot Z95. And I want to say, I think it was Gino on the air, if I'm not mistaken, Gino on the air that played the single for the first time. He did not say who it was. He didn't say the name.
Yeah.
He just said to the city, you guys might recognize this guy's voice. I'm not going to say his name.
Yeah.
But he's ventured off into doing his own solo career now.
Wow. Okay.
So he plays the song. And I am like super excited that he's playing the record.
You know that it's coming on. You know it's going to come on.
So they call me and they say, "Hey, put it on the radio. Turn your radio on at home, and put it on the station." I ran to the little living room where I was living at, and the 1-bedroom apartment down in Summit Apartments in Saratoga in Corpus Christi.
Yeah.
And turn on the radio, and sure enough, man, they're playing the song, and I'm like, wow. Like, this sounded so good on the radio. And mind you, it wasn't even mixed and mastered. It was just whatever little semi-mix that James did to the record. So when I heard that for the first time, I was like, yo, this could be something. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I started seeing it or hearing it, that it was going to Frankie Blue out in KTU, New York.
Yeah.
And then it went to Z100 in New York. And then it went to Kiss FM 102.7 in LA. And then it was in Chicago, B96. And then all of a sudden in Power 96 in Miami. And I'm seeing...
Cox on the radio.
The ripple effect.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yo, like, what's going on? And Charles and I were just like looking at each other like, yo, yes.
We got one.
This is going to be your to get your feet wet in this genre, in this, as a solo artist. So right then and there was when I started feeling like, okay, I think I did the right thing.
Yeah.
I did the right thing. But then right after, a few months after, I get hit with a lawsuit.
What?
I get hit with a major lawsuit.
What was this?
From Capital EMI.
Talk to me.
So
what happened? What happened, Frankie?
This is where it gets a little spicy over here.
Yeah.
And so I get hit with a major lawsuit by EMI Capital.
That was my label. Yeah.
Crazy. Right?
Yeah.
And
they want their money.
Yeah, and of course.
For what though? What did you do?
Because I decided to go solo, and after I was fired, and started becoming successful.
Because the Kumbia Kings were on EMI Capital.
Correct. And AB went after.
Wow. See that, people?
AB EMI Capital went after.
Oh,
and
man.
I remember being in New York. In New York, man.
Yeah, right.
Looking at this whole situation. I remember it like the back of my head, man. And, the judge, asking, where do I want to go? Do you want to continue working with him or do you want to go solo? I said, I don't want to work anymore with him. I want to do my solo career because I knew what I had. Obviously, there's always going to be, the hater, that is trying to stop something that is happening, that is good for you. So I felt that all the way through, man, and I just said, you know what? I can't go back. I can't. There's no way. I have to keep moving forward.
Now, did they pull the song off rotation? Did they do it?
No.
Did they stoop that low?
They continued it.
Okay.
But the settlement was that Don't Want to Try, which was going to be my first single with Cumbia, that they would get to use it for 3 months first before I would release my version of it. So it took a lot of sales from my album, my first album. And they sold some records with that song, with that album that I last recorded with the Kumbia Kings. I never helped promoted it.
Yeah.
To this day, I've never sang one song from the Kumbia Kings in any of my shows. And like where I had like a production or
you got your own shit.
And I never had to. I always sang my own songs. And when that happened, I was totally devastated. I was crushed because I felt like, okay, they got what they wanted, Mm-hmm. But then I just remember saying, you know what? It's just 3 months. It's my first release. I know I'm going to have more. At
that time, 3 months can devastate your career.
Oh, absolutely.
We know.
The sales?
Yeah. In 3 months, a lot can happen.
I think we ended up selling 350,000 albums.
Yeah.
And then, when that whole thing happened with the sales, the numbers came in when I released my album after the fact, we said to ourselves, we could have gone gold.
Absolutely.
It could have been a gold.
It was 150,000 short of gold.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, but nonetheless, we kept going, we kept pushing, I kept writing, I kept working, I kept doing tours.
Absolutely.
And then lo and behold, Sugar Sugar comes out. And that was it, man. We were like, okay, this could be something.
Was everywhere.
Yep. And it was like a slap on the face to EMI and Capital.
Absolutely.
And
good for you.
And
good for you.
And it felt good, man. It felt good because that song. Here's another story. That song was supposed to be my second single with Cumbia, Sony Cumbia. But there was an A&R team that felt that I did not sound good on that song. So they said, you either put it out by yourself, or
we bringing in Lil Tony from down in Studio E,
or you decide to give that record away, and
give it away to
because me and Bash had wrote that record.
Yeah.
So obviously Bash had already his verses, and the whole song was complete.
Yeah.
And I remember talking with Charles, my manager at the time. He goes, Frankie, this record is a smash.
It's a smash.
He goes, but the label doesn't like it with your voice on it because they don't feel like it makes you shine. So I said, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say to these guys because no matter what I say, they're not going to push it. Because remember, labels, they have those deep pockets. Right. And if they don't want to put any money behind a record, they're not going to. It's a dead record.
Yeah.
So Charles goes, we just, let it go. You're on the record. Give it to Bash. So Bash can get signed to Universal. Universal loves this song. You guys are still together on this song. this will help you continue
And
with
then it
your
sells
career.
$1 million.
No, it went gold.
Went gold. Half a
It went
million.
gold, $500,000
Yeah.
within
Weeks.
within 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a slap
That's a
on
great
the
record,
face.
man. I
Thanks.
remember that. I
That
remember
was-
when it came out.
You know, that was a slap on the face to Sony Columbia.
Yeah.
So then we're touring. We're doing, you know, some really, really, you know, big things, you know, Bash and I. And Sony Columbia is like trying to figure out what to do next for me. Because this was a record for Bash.
Yeah.
Just got him signed. Got
Y'all
him
had a
record.
chance at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then here we are selling out, you know, all these shows. And Sony's like, what's next for Frankie? Now we're forced to give Frankie another shot. So Charles and I go and, you know, working with, you know, we go work with Brian Michael Cox, you know, produce Confessions for Usher, You Got It Bad for Usher, produces, you know, Burn for Usher. Like, these are big records, right, at the time. So we go and work with Brian Michael Cox. And
It's funny that we called you earlier the Mexican Usher with that connection, you know.
So it's crazy because here we are working with a lot of these major producers, and we ended up coming up with a song called "On the Floor," and which was featuring Paul Wall. This was going to be already the next project for me with me in Colombia. And so then we just decided we're already upset at everything that's happening, but at the same time we're fortunate at the same time because it worked for me and it worked for Bash, and it got Bash signed to a major deal.
Yeah.
Here we are thinking, okay, we need to do this ourselves because the label ain't going to do anything for you. We just got to go out there and kill it ourselves. So we go out. They gave us a budget. We go out and work with the producers that we want to work with, and we come up with this song called "On the Floor." That is my first single. We decided to work that record to radio ourselves. Yeah. So Charles goes, if you want to work your record without having the label, you know, put anything behind it, you're going to have to put your own money. And I'm like, well, how does that work? Like, what do you want me to do? He goes, I need $10,000 from your own money. Give me that money, and I'm going to go and work the record for you. Mm-hmm. Well, Charles comes from that world. You know, he was working with Interscope.
Now, for those of you who don't know what that means, is this is an envelope about to happen.
Right.
and what happens with that envelope is it goes to key players at radio stations, so that the record can see the light of day, get some spins, get to your ears. But, yeah.
So, you're right. We go to the mall. Charles takes me to the mall. And we go and buy all these kinds of gift cards with $10,000. And a certain station gets $1,500. Another station gets $250. The bigger stations get $2,500. You know, $1,000, $750. So we get all these gift cards, and there's $10,000 worth of gift cards in my hand, and I'm like, all right, Charles, here you go. You know,
we want to thank you for liking the record, playing this record, and enjoying this record.
So
it's how hits are made, people. It's how hits are made.
So this is how it all happens. $10,000 got me a top 40 record back in 2004. Gangsta. And Columbia is seeing all this going down, and they're calling Charles like, "Hey man, what are you doing with our artists? Like, you guys are working your own record without telling us." And Charles is like, "Well, you guys didn't like Sugar, so we're gonna go and work our own record." Yeah. Frankie's tired of it. Like, he's gonna go out and kill it himself. Yeah. So then they're like, "Wait a minute, stop! You guys can't do that. You know, we're gonna step in." So then they step in, and they're like, "What do we do? We have meetings, and we're going to New York, we're going to LA, and we're like, well, you find us a record." They couldn't find me a record. So this is how crazy. In terms of
they went to writers and to see,
and they couldn't find
what y'all got.
Yeah, couldn't find me a record, you know, at all. Yeah. So then, this is how crazy this next record that I'm about to tell you came up. Obsession was
great record.
was the next record that was to be my single. But this is how it all kind of came about. Bash did a record called Obsession with a group from Germany who originally originated in Florida, right? It's a boy band.
Okay.
They're called Third Wish. They are about to work a record called Obsession, and they call Bash and ask him to be a part of this record. They pay him $40,000 to be a part of this record feature because Sugar Sugar's hitting hard. This is
facts.
Hitting hard in Europe.
When you're on top, you get in the bag.
So he gets to do it, and then the president at Universal and Charles, great friends, they're like, you know what? Bash did a great job on this record. The guys, Third Wish, did a great job on this record, but it's missing something. And so then they start talking about, what do we do with the song? The song's already playing, overseas, but it's not like hitting
here.
So then they ask, well, what's
Up
Frankie?
with Frankie?
Yeah, what's up with Frankie? And so Charles goes,
Frankie hates your guts.
Yeah, bingo. No, this is Universal.
Okay.
This is not Columbia. So,
okay.
So Charles is having a conversation with Universal, and Charles is like, let's give this record to Frankie. So there's a little bit of tug of war with that record during that time because I think Bash wanted to do something with that record.
Yeah.
And do something totally different, but in the States. But then Charles convinced the president to give that record to me because it was like an eye for an eye. Sugar Sugar was his first single, became a big smash hit. Obsession was to be my single now, but still leading Bash on the record. And Bash and I went into the studio. He rewrote his rap.
Okay.
With my version, which was produced by Happy Perez. Shout out to Happy.
No doubt.
And next thing you know, we put that record out. Cumbia loves the record, and they push the hell out of that record, and it becomes a big smash for me.
Yeah.
Sold platinum. Went platinum
Attaboy.
with that album.
Attaboy.
So we're continuing the work and the hits, right?
Yeah.
So then, even Jimmy Iovine is like, yo, what's going on with these guys? Like, these guys are just killing it. He's talking, with certain, people in the industry, they talk. And they're seeing that we're continuing with our hits. So then Columbia's like, all right, we got to finish this album. And then we start working with Brian Michael Cox again. And then we go and work with, Irv Gotti. Then we go and work with Mario Wine. And it's like all these producers. We're working with all the heavy hitters.
Yeah.
So then, here we are, putting together
a string of hits.
And, How to Deal comes out, which is another big record for me, which is the top 15 record on the Billboard.
Yeah.
And then right after How to Deal comes out, then we do a remake of More Than Words, which was a big record for me. So, like I said, we just continue. And then Bash is working with Akon. Baby I'm Back, he does that.
Yeah.
And then he just, we're continuing the tours. So, it's two Mexican kids, man, that are just believing in each other, and creating great relationships all the while all this is happening. And not having egos, not trying to power trip, not like we're just, we're these kids, man, that came from nothing to doing something and creating, these records. Which, by the way, you were a big part of that whole movement, that whole Latino movement. You, Gerardo, Kid Frost, inspiring us.
Yeah, we're like the first school.
Oh my gosh, you guys opened up the doors.
School,
you guys opened up the doors for a lot of us.
You're very welcome.
You know what I mean?
All
hey, there you
all
go.
Love.
And honestly, man,
we were watching and very proud of everything you guys were doing. Because I remember Bash as a member of Latino Velvet at the time,
right?
And how that wasn't panning out for him. But then when he went solo and he put that face out there,
yep,
the ladies gravitated. and the fellas loved it because it was good enough for them as well.
Right.
But we were very proud of your guys' accomplishment, and I'm so happy and blessed to be sitting here with you, call you a friend, consider you a friend, and whatnot. Guys, you're with the one and only Frankie J. If there's ever been a doper R&B Latino, I don't know of him. This is the guy. You're tuned into the Havana Lounge podcast, guys. We'll be back for one more. You got time? You got time for a little bit more?
Oh, absolutely.
And we'll wrap this thing up here in just a second. But stay tuned. Go get something out the fridge. Go get that Blizzy. Come back in 2 and 2. We'll see you right back. Welcome back, guys. This is your boy Melllow Man Ace. That is the one and only my man. Frankie J is in the house. Frankie, now you're winning.
Where did we leave off?
I don't know where you left off. You was winning. You had a string of hits going on. Things are popping. The bags are flowing. Yeah. I'm assuming things are good, and you're riding this thing out.
Right.
And to this day, you continue to put it down, right?
Yeah.
What are you working on now? Or did we miss anything that you want to talk about over there?
Well, no. I mean, up to date. I mean, I just learned a lot through the years when it comes down to reading people, knowing who to work with, and I guess picking your battles, choosing your battles.
Yeah.
And I've grown throughout the years. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm not mad. I'm not. I feel like I've accomplished a lot, and I can proudly,
Which reminds me, you bought recently a house for your mom and dad, yes?
Well, see, okay, no, it did not happen, unfortunately.
Oh.
It did not happen, and I'll tell you.
Okay.
I was
watching you.
Some personal reasons. Okay. But then the COVID hit.
Yes.
The whole thing with the COVID hit. So there was a reason why all that happened.
Okay.
I strongly believe that everything happens for a reason.
Facts.
And like I said, I'm not mad at it. I feel like when it happens, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen at its perfect time.
Righteous.
On God's timing. But trust me, man. Like I've done a lot for my parents.
No doubt.
I've helped them so much.
Yeah.
And got to, man. I feel like my dad has been that como se dice en español se dice el respaldo. el respaldo, like your mom, like el respaldo. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have learned how to be humble, how to appreciate everything that
you wouldn't have the talent you got.
And there you go. You know, my dad was a singer when he was younger.
There it is.
And you know, obviously, it's as they say, the apple doesn't fall
far
from the tree, right?
Yes.
And you know, he definitely gave me that. You know that the music,
the gene,
the gene of the music. But yeah, you know, I'm not mad at anything. Everything happens for a reason. So, but I'm still going through that process. So hopefully it happens very soon because they deserve it.
Word up.
They definitely deserve it.
No, of course, man. All our parents deserve at least 2 or 3 cribs.
Oh
you know
my
what
gosh,
I mean?
yeah, man.
And then sometimes we get caught up in these situations in the music industry that don't allow us, for whatever reason, to get those.
Yeah.
And you know, you may get slammed with IRS bills, things of that nature, back taxes, and
knock on wood.
You know what I mean? Absolutely, no, knock on some double wood. But these things happen.
Yeah.
But tell me, you're working on a new project, and I know for a fact because we just finished wrapping up a video together.
We just finished filming a video to a song called "Pretty Brown Eyes," which is featuring my brother, Mr. Melllow Man Ace, and of course, it's going to be something really, really dope because it's got like an old school kind of vibe to it with a new sound, with a new school vibe, and of course, Melllow does an amazing feature on the record.
Thank you,
and
sir.
I'm excited because my son was also a part of that record as well. My son who's 20 years old, Frankie, who's not so little anymore. I always call him Little Frankie. He's learned so much on the production side, and I'm proud of him because he continues, man. He just goes in there in the studio. He uses the studio more than me now.
Yeah.
And he's just continuously working on music for himself, and he's trying to, put a whole project together for himself. But I'm involving him.
Shout out to Little Frankie.
Yeah, I'm involving him on this project, so he actually helps.
Is he a singer as well? Does he sing?
He sings too, man. He sings too, and he's got a great voice. He just needs to open up a little more. That's what I want him to do, man. With his vocals. My daughter, Emily, also is a great singer, man. She's got.
Now, how old is Emily?
Gosh. She's 16.
Okay.
And she could
now,
sing.
Are you one of those dads that got the shotgun by the door?
Oh, you better believe I got a shotgun ready.
Yeah.
Locked and loaded.
Okay.
No,
okay. But you're letting her shine and do her thing.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to like be all crazy overprotective, but I know she's developing, she's growing up, and she's gonna do what she's gonna do as long as we just guide her the right way.
Absolutely.
And, make sure that she has a good head on her shoulders. But she's a great singer. She can sing her heart out. And I definitely want to, see what's going to happen with both my kids because they're heavily influenced by music. Heavily.
Absolutely, as they should be.
Yeah.
Any concerts you want to talk about? You're going to be somewhere soon?
Oh man, let me see. Where am I at? I'm doing a big show in San Francisco called El Puro Party, which is legends like. Oh my gosh, it's Raul Alejandro is going to be there. He's a new artist that does, he's doing some big things. Who else is going to be there? My brother Bash is going to be there. Yours truly is going to be there. Oh my goodness, man! There's so many. The roster of artists that are going to be there is immense. It's crazy. I don't remember.
Is it like a summer jam type of thing?
It's like a summer jam. It's in San Francisco.
Is it a KMEL thing?
That's a good question. I don't know.
All right.
And then after that, I'm in Houston for the Labor Day Festival, which is going to be Evie Queen, Elvis Crespo. Mario Lopez is going to be the host of the show. My brother Bash is going to be on it too. Yours truly is going to be there. A.B. Quintanilla, Cumbia All-Stars are going to be there. And who else? Fulanito's going to be there. Who else is gonna be there? Oh my goodness, man! It's.
Let me know if you need a bodyguard.
It's gonna nah.
I'll come in there with my Gambino.
I know,
shit.
right? Nah, it's not like that at all. As a matter of fact, like if every now and then.
Now you guys are both my boys. You guys are both
man,
my boys.
if we see each other, it's like it's all love. It's
good
all
deal. Good deal.
But there's a few more shows coming up. We have Vegas, we have San Antonio, we have El Paso. Pueblo, Colorado. We have, oh my goodness, man. There's a few. Yakima, Washington. What else? The list goes on.
The man is busy, people.
Yeah, we're definitely out there. We're definitely out there.
He's definitely putting it down. Are you good? You good?
Yeah, I think so.
Did you get it off? You good?
I think so. Well, the music, I mean, obviously, you know, the album is called Back to Us, featuring, of course, you, Melllow Man Ace on the album, featuring Baby Dash, Razby from B2K, Mr. Paul Wall himself.
Love it.
I just got a song sent to me from John Legend. He wrote this song with another guy out of Nashville. Beautiful, beautiful ballad that
Right
I still have to record. They just gave me the green light to use it.
Yeah.
No pun intended. Green light. He has a song called Green Light.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, man. So excited about the new album. I don't know when it's gonna drop, but I'm trying to figure out, all that stuff right now with this, new venture that I started working with United Masters.
Nice.
The second single, which is featuring Bash, is dropping September the 3rd, which is a song called My Love Is On The Way. And, man.
What's the first single?
The first single was a song called With You, featuring Razby and Paul Wall.
Okay,
that already
gotcha.
came out, so people
Gotcha.
can go out there and get it. It's on Spotify, Apple, Pandora.
All the usual platforms.
All the digital platforms.
All the digital guys, yeah.
Yeah, man. So stay tuned to all the newer records. Pretty Brown Eyes, which is the song that you're part of, will probably be released sometime in October. So
Third single with a
third
video.
single. Yep.
You heard?
Third single.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You good?
Yeah, man.
My guy.
Appreciate it, man.
Frankie J, the one and only Frankie J, my man, my ace, has been in the place to be. Guys, I'm good. My man is good. It seems like around the room, the whole fam is good. And so, like I like to say at this time, guys, always remember that your dream is your only scheme, in the great words of Curtis Mayfield, who said, your dream is your only scheme, so keep on pushing and move on up. With that said, people, I'm your boy Melllow Man Ace saying good night, enough respect. Frankie J, take us out.
Yes,
sing us a song, Frankie J. Let's go.
There you go.
Baby.